All right, so solving inequalities is just like solving regular equations. So I will start with subtracting 3x from both sides, and I'll end up with x plus 3 is less than or equal to negative 5. I will subtract my 3 from it, from both sides, and I will have x is less than or equal to negative 8. So now when we want to graph this, we'll go to our graph, and we need to remember when we are looking at graphing inequalities that if it is greater than or equal to, we are looking at closed circles, so it'll be either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. If it is an open circle, it'll just be the less than or greater than symbol. Okay? So in our case, x is less than or equal to negative 8, so I need to have a solid circle on our graph, and since x is less than or equal to negative 8, then I will draw my arrow going this way. And make sure you label your number line with the numbers. So negative 8, negative 10, negative 12. Okay. Now for our second one, the one thing we need to be very careful with is whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to make sure we flip our inequality. So in this case, I'm going to divide this side by negative 2, this side by negative 2, and my answer is going to be x, and since I'm dividing by a negative number, I have to flip my inequality, so x is going to be less than negative 3. And when we want to graph this on our number line, since it is a less than, it's going to be an open circle. Here's my open circle. This is my negative 3. And we will draw our arrow so that x is less than negative 3. Okay, number 4. Oh, I'm sorry, number 3 is the one we're on. Okay, so now I need to distribute this 1/8 across the parentheses. So I have two choices when I have fractions. If I want to clear the fractions out altogether, I can come up with whatever their least common multiple is. And in this case, the least common multiple is going to be 8. It's the only fraction I have, or only denominator I have. So if I multiply this side of the equation by 8, and this side of the equation by 8, then I will end up with 3x minus 16 is less than 32. And now we can go through and solve this. So if I add 16 to this side, add 16 to this side, I'm going to end up with 3x is less than 48. And then when I finish solving it over here, I will have x is less than 48 divided by 3. And so x will be less than, and 3 goes into 48 16 times. There's my final answer. So to graph it, I look at this, we have a less than symbol. I didn't have to divide or flip my inequality because I divided by a positive number. So we are going to use an open circle. I'll say that this is my 16, and we will draw our arrow going towards the left since x is less than 16. All right, number 4, we're dealing with a fraction again. I have a 2 in the denominator, so to get rid of the 2 in the denominator, I want to multiply, and let's switch colors so it's easier to see so we don't get them mixed up with other problems. So I need to multiply this side of the equation by 2 and this side of the equation by 2. So now I will have x minus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 10. To go through and simplify this now, I just need to add 3 to this side, add 3 to this side, and now I have x is greater than or equal to negative 7. And here is my final answer. So we will go and find a point. It should be a closed circle, and I will draw my arrow going in the right direction, and x is greater than or equal to should have negative 7 on our number line. So now we want to go in and we want to look at our next problem. So we're going to look at problem number 5. So for 5, I have to distribute my -4 across the equation. And let's switch to green. So I will have -8, and whenever I take a -4 times a negative number, that's going to give me a +4 is less than or equal to, and now I will have, distribute the 6 will give me 6x plus 12. And looks like I forgot my x back here. So now I need to isolate my variables and my constants on different sides. So I'm going to subtract 4x on this side, subtract 4x on this side. So I'll be left with -8 is less than or equal to 2x plus 12. And when I finish solving this equation, I'm going to have -20 is less than or equal to 2x. When I divide by 2, I'm not dividing by a negative or multiplying by a negative, so I get to keep my inequality in the same way. So that's going to give me x is less than or equal to -10. That's my final answer for this one. Or -10 is less than or equal to x. That means x is going to be greater than -10. So it should be a closed circle. This will be my -10, and we will have our arrow going in this direction. All right, so for our last problem, for number 6,